Hello friends and welcome to Obsidian Soft. In this class, I will tell you some tips and tricks I use while working with MIT App Inventor. Let's cover debugging first. Debugging is finding bugs or errors in your coding. If your app is behaving unexpectedly, such as a list view is not filling up with data from the database, you need to find where the problem is. Let's quickly make a CloudDB app so that I show you how I debug. I've already made this TestDB app. It just has a button on it for loading data from the database. Now I need to add a notifier from user interface. So drag and drop it here. It's a non-visible component and I need a CloudDB from storage. Let's go to the block section. When the screen is initialized, I'm going to call CloudDB store value and against the tag entry, I'm going to store values, for example, Obsidian Soft. Okay, so this is just for testing. Now, when the load data button is pressed or clicked, I am going to call the CloudDB to get the value against this tag. So go to CloudDB and call CloudDB.getValue against the tag entry. So just duplicate it here, and value, if not there, is an empty block, text block. And as you know, that getValue triggers the gotValue event. So let's get the gotValue event, and inside here, first of all, I'm going to check for the tag that it is equal to entry. So control if then equal to, and hover over tag to get the getter for it, and if it is equal to entry, so just duplicate to avoid a spelling mistake. Okay, and if it is equal to entry, then I am going to use my notifier to show an alert, and inside the alert I'm going to do a join of a text block that says data :space and what is inside get value. So hover over it to get the getter for it. So now if your app is not behaving as you want it to behave and you're doing something on the basis of, for example, get value, this notifier way is a nice way of knowing what is inside get value. So if I run the app and press the load button, I will get an alert showing that there's a value Obsidian Soft as data. Okay. But let's introduce an error. So if by mistake, when the load button is pressed, I accidentally make a typing error. Okay. So what will happen? Now in this case, it will show me that there's nothing inside my data. So that means something went wrong. And then I will look carefully that there's nothing against this tag inside my database. So I will see my spelling mistake and then I will fix that one. Okay. And another thing was that in case of iPhone, you will see that instead of this empty field, I am getting that null text. So this is why our error checks were failing in the login screen app that I showed to you in the last class. And that is why we needed an extra condition check for iPhones. And we were checking for the null string. So use the notifier to see what is going wrong and to look at what the value is inside your variables or what the value is inside your database, the get value. Now let's come to the clearing up of CloudDB. While we are testing, we may add a lot of test values to our CloudDB. So how to clean up our CloudDB? In case of TinyDB, there was a clear all block for TinyDB that we used to remove everything from the TinyDB. TinyDB is the database that is stored on the device. Okay, it's not in the cloud. But in the case of CloudDB, we do not have a clear all procedure. So what to do to clean up our CloudDB after we have done the testing? So let's quickly add another button. If I want my button to have exactly the same properties as this load data button, you know that in case of Windows, just select the button and press Ctrl and C on your keyboard together, and then press Ctrl and the letter V on your keyboard together, and they will be copied, pasted. In case of MacBook, you have to select the button and do Command C and then Command V. And as you can see that my button has been duplicated. It has exactly the same properties. I'm just going to rename it Clear Button. So the text on it says Clear Data, and just go to blocks. And what is the code? When I copied the button, even the .click event was copied. So do you see that? So I don't need this code. So how to clear everything from the database? First of all, go to CloudDB and call clouddb.getTagList. So this will return a list containing all the tags inside your CloudDB. In our case, we just have one tag. Let me fix this first too. This will trigger an event of CloudDB when clouddb.taglist. So just get that event. And inside there, I need a for loop. So go to control and there's this for loop for each item in list. Okay, so just get this one. And what is the list? Remember, this will return a tag list. So value is a tag list right now. All the tags that are inside our CloudDB. And what I'm going to do is that for each item, that is for each tag inside the list of our tags, I am going to call CloudDB clear tag. And what is the tag here? It is the item. So just get the getter for it by hovering over it. And this will effectively clean up the entire CloudDB irrespective of how many tags it has. If you want to remove a particular tag, then you can just call clouddb.clearTag and give it the particular tag, for example, entry. Sometimes our code becomes very complicated and lengthy, so how to organize it? So if I right click on it and I click on Cleanup Blocks, look, MIT App Inventor has organized all our events and click events and all our procedures in this vertical line. Okay, so this is a nice way of seeing what is inside our code instead of just looking for where the procedure is or an event is. Now another thing is, if you have a warning showing up here, okay, so in that case, most probably you have some block like this just lying around there. So that is why we have a warning. So if I click on it, it will even show an exclamation mark next to the warning. So how to get rid of these puzzles and blocks that are just lying around and you're not even using them? So just right click on it and click on Remove Unused Blocks. And it will ask you for confirmation, and then you can click on Delete and it will be deleted. Also, another important thing is that sometimes you may forget to complete a block. So in this case, because my show warning was clicked, it is giving me an exclamation mark. I have an exclamation mark here and one here. So there's an empty block here and something is missing. And this is especially important because this may lead to unexpected errors in your code. So always right click on your code and clean up blocks so you can see all your blocks aligned in a vertical line and you can see where the error might be. So I can hide the warning and I can show the warning, and when I show the warning there's an exclamation mark telling me that there's something wrong. So clean up your code, align it, and then go down and check your entire code and verify if all the blocks are complete. Also, you can add comments to your code too to make it more understandable. So how to add a comment? So for example, I want to explain what I'm doing in this event tag list. So if I right click on the event and click on Add Comment, and then click on this blue question mark, I can add a comment. I can again right click on it and then remove the comment, or I can let it stay the same. So this is explaining to me that what is this event doing? It is clearing up the DB, and I can make it longer too. Also, another important thing, always use procedures to make your code cleaner and to avoid repetition. For example, in the case of our login screen app, I put the user entry errors check code inside a separate procedure because it had to be called by both the sign up button and the login button. So instead of repeating the same code inside the login button and the sign up button, I put the entire code inside this check user entry errors procedure. So make your code clean. Also use the any component block if the code for the component is almost or exactly the same. I've already explained about how you can use the any component block while making the virtual snow globe app. So you can have a look at it to see how you can use the any component block. Another useful thing to know is this backpack. Coming back to our DB app, now let me explain a bit about backpack. Backpack is a useful thing inside MIT App Inventor because you can reuse code between two screens or even between two apps. So for example, I have this very nice code for clearing the DB. Okay, so what I can do is that I can right click on it and add it to the backpack. And as you can see that now the backpack has something in it, so it is now opened up with puzzles in it. Okay. So if I have another app with a CloudDB component in it and I want to have some code for cleaning up the entire CloudDB, I just click on my backpack and get it from here. Okay. By the way, this is an error here because I do not have a button, clear button here. Okay. But this is just for explanation that you can reuse code by putting it inside the backpack and then using it in another app or in another screen. But don't overuse the backpack so that it doesn't become too complicated, and empty it once you're done using it. So right click on it and empty the backpack. So I hope you liked this video and you learned some cool tips and tricks. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, kindly do so because I have some great projects planned for you. As you already know that I publish free tutorials on coding, app development and mental maths on my channel, and they're detailed and simple to understand, and I try to teach you something cool and exciting in all of my tutorials. Thank you for watching my video. Have a good day and goodbye.